Hello, beautiful people. This is Chris Maddox from the Wild Woman Project, and I'm speaking to you today because I always speak to you at new moon time, and the new moon is upon us. It's coming November 11th, 2015. And if you're new to the Wild Woman Project, what you will quickly learn is we make a really big deal out of new moon time. So new moon happens about every 28 and a half days, and if you go outside on November 11th and you look up at the sky, you will not see the moon. You will notice that she is back behind the sky. And that doesn't mean she's not there. It just means that she's in a kind of retreat. So that's a teaching or a hint for us that perhaps energetically at this time we're really supported to kind of draw back from the external world and really take a deep dive into our own inner life. So we gather in Wild Woman moon circles, and that's when our trained facilitator guides you through a whole journey. There's a different theme every month, which we'll talk about in a moment. There's a visualization and a ritual, and you'll walk out of circle feeling crystal clear on what your major intention is for the moon cycle ahead. So it's this very beautiful process, and it's all inspired by the theme of the month. And the theme of the month is something, no matter if you join a Wild Woman moon circle or get the New Moon Companion, which is kind of an audio where I will guide you through that experience, solo, like a solo retreat. So whether you do one of those two things, or simply sort of tune into the new moon for yourself, you can tune into kind of the magic of it. So this theme is like all of our other themes, sprung from the inspiration of the astrological placement of the new moon. So we're taking this idea that new moon time is a great time to retreat and to create intention, and we're pairing it with this ancient system of astrology, and we are, in doing so, in for a deep exploration and perhaps a profound exploration. So new moon will be in the astrological sign of Scorpio. So we can kind of tune into the Scorpio archetype and learn from it at this time. And when looking at the Scorpio archetype, I like to look at the ruling planets. So each of the 12 signs of the zodiac have ruling planets. And for Scorpio, it actually has two rulers. It has a classical ruler and a modern ruler. And the classical ruler is Mars. Mars is the planet of drive and action. It's drive in the sensual, sexual, erotic sense, as well as like in the world. It's often associated with the divine masculine. There's an oomph to it. There's a whoosh. Oftentimes, even though Scorpio is a water sign, if you're new to astrology, a lot of people will think Scorpio is a fire sign. I get that all the time. They thought it was a fire sign because it has such a drive to it, right? So that's Mars. That's the influence of Mars, which is the classical ruler. And then in the 1700s, when the outer planets were discovered, some of the signs got new planetary rulers. So those are called the modern rulers. So the modern ruler of Scorpio is Pluto. And Pluto in the astrological system represents like deep transformation. This can be associated with death, this mystical idea of dying before you die, dying. And it's not afraid to bring an end to that which is not serving our highest good in our life. So it's kind of these two, right? You have this Mars drive, this transformational death planet. Sounds very intense, but it is intense. Scorpio is an intense energy, and it's intense because it's not afraid of the dark. So when we're tuning into this new moon, it is essential for us to feel so courageous and so lit up from within. What are we lit up with? We're lit up with our heart. We're lit up with our wisdom, with our intuition. And it's essentially like at new moon time, we're walking, the sky is dark. We're walking into the inner world, which is deeply mysterious. This is a very scorpionic kind of action is to walk right into our own inner depths and sit with our own hearts and anything else that's coming up in there. And what's coming up inside of us at any given time, of course it has beautiful, light, bright things, but there also might be sadness there might be grief, there might be shame. And basically the Scorpio doesn't discount any. The Scorpio finds magic in it all. It's not afraid of the shadow. It's not afraid of the dark. So in this journey, this new moon in Scorpio, we are going to be looking at the theme reclaiming your magic. And that's really inspired by the archetype of the witch. The archetype of the witch. You may have noticed in the past couple of months we've been exploring these feminine archetypes. The priestess and the new moon in Virgo, Venus and Aphrodite and the new moon in Libra. And here we are, new moon in Scorpio. We're looking at the witch. Right? Remember the Mars and the transformation. There's like this mysterious power to the Scorpio energy. So the witch is something very much like the Scorpio energy, which is deeply mysterious. And, you know, witchdom has had a long history of cultural oppression. So when we hear the word witch, depending on what our background is and our interests are, we're going to have various reactions, but it's a loaded word. It's a loaded word. It can be to some frightening. It can be to some exhilarating. And we're going to look and work with the archetype of the witch through visualization and through ritual and see what sort of the witch archetype has to teach us about our own inner depths, about our own inner magic. So you'll find yourself in a circle, hopefully, or maybe if there's not a circle near you, you'll do your new moon companion, which is a solo retreat with me, and you can do it from anywhere. Or perhaps you just sit with your own heart and your own meditation, create your own space, and you can tune into this archetype, the witch. What magic? It's basically the essential question of this journey this month is who would I be if I stopped pushing down, shoving aside my magic? Magic being my special, mysterious powers, my gifts, right? So this idea of the way we have made ourselves small, the way we have pushed aside or laughed off or didn't take seriously some of our most powerful gifts for fear of the proverbial burned at the stake. I mean, there's a lot of history around shaming women for their mysterious powers, and part of what's happening, I think, on the planet right now is we're having a reawakening of what are those mysterious powers and how can we work with them for the highest good, and how can we bring our shame about our gifts, our more mysterious gifts, right? The mysterious gifts being our feeling sense, our intuition, the things that we know in our gut are true. This is an inner knowing that is not dependent upon an external affirmation that it's true. It's the thing that we know. It's the inner knowing. The witch archetype trusts what she knows. So that is what we're doing this month. I hope you will sit with this content. I hope that you will show up at a circle. If there's not a circle near you, we have winter training coming up. It starts in January. Registration opens on November 19th, and 25 women. And it's 7 weeks, and we're going to go into all sorts of juicy topics, like learning about the moon and the moon cycle, learning a little bit about astrology and creating sacred space and feminine leadership and all sorts of things. So if the idea of starting your own circle is something that lights you up, definitely check it out. And okay, so I'm wishing you a wonderful, 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 magical new moon cycle ahead. And you can always find me over at thewildwomanproject.com.